How's it going, everyone? Hope you're well. Mr. Boulder here, and I'm back today with a contest entry video for Johnny Mac over at the Rock and Metal Plus channel, who hit 500 subscribers a while ago, so congratulations, John. And he's well on his way to 600 subs as well. So what you've got to do for this contest entry is very simple. Talk about 5 albums that shaped the music that you listen to, and to do 5 channel shout-outs. What I've decided to do is I've decided to choose albums that helped me get into one specific subgenre of the music that I like. So we're going to be going back to the mid to late 80s first, to the first band I discovered on my own. Now, a couple of these answers are going to involve more than one band, but I'm just going to show one album, and I will give a mention to the other band as well. So first up, I'm going to talk about the band that I got into back in sort of 86, 87. They were absolutely massive at the time. And the other band was Bon Jovi, their Slippery When Wet album, which I absolutely still love to this day. It's an absolutely huge album full of massive songs, great rocking tracks and ballads, and this one's pretty much the same. The one I gravitated to the most out of these two is without a doubt Def Leppard, and this is Hysteria, which of course came out in 1987. An absolutely huge album. I saw Def Leppard live just a week ago, and I've still got it live. It has to be said. The vocal harmony still sounds fantastic. All the guys can still play really well. Joe Elliott's voice is pretty much exactly what it was 35 years ago. But this was a huge album for me. Just absolutely perfect. For me, there's only one slightly weak track on this, which is Excitable, but I still really enjoy listening to the song. And for me, it's just not quite as strong as the others. This is, of course, packed with massive hit singles. They were still releasing singles from this album in 1989, 2 years after it came out. So big singles like Animal, which is the first song I ever heard, which I just still absolutely love to this day. Pour Some Sugar on Me, Armageddon it. Title Track was a single as well. You had Rocket. But there's loads and loads of deep cuts in this, and that's what great albums are really about. Not just the big singles, but the deep cuts are awesome as well. I mean, for me, the deep cuts on this, like Don't Shoot Shotgun, and particularly Run Riot, are just absolutely phenomenal. A couple of the best songs on the album. But the opener, Women's, great as well. There's a great ballad at the end called Love and Affection. God's War's a fantastic track. And it's just an album full of amazing rocking tracks and some fantastic ballads as well. Love Bites as well. That was another single. So yeah, Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet, and definitely for me, though, more this one, Def Leppard's Hysteria, was the first album that I got into from myself. You know, it wasn't influenced by my dad's choices when I was younger. This is the first band and Bon Jovi I discovered for myself, but this one was one I gravitated to the most at the time. And it's just an absolutely fantastic album. The album that got me into hard rock. They're not really hair metal, but they kind of got lumped in with them at that point because of the much more polished style they were going for. But Def Leppard's Hysteria is an absolute banger, and that's definitely got to be one of my choices. So just 1 year later, I was buying magazines like Kerrang and that, and I was reading a lot about thrash metal bands, and of course they weren't getting played on the radio or anything like that. So for Christmas in 1988, I got 3 cassettes. One was Anthrax's State of Euphoria. The second was Metallica's Justice for All. And the third, the one I listened to the most, the one that's had the most impact on me at the time, was the album I'm about to show next. And it's Megadeth's So Far So Good So Well, obviously from 1988. So this is the album that really got me into thrash, along with the other 2 I just mentioned. I mean, I'll be honest, the one I've probably listened to the most over the years is Injustice for All, but at the time, this was definitely my jam. Really great album. It's underrated because it's sandwiched in between Peace Sells and Rust in Peace. But for me, this is a really good album. I think it's Mustaine's really sort of pissed off vibe on this record that sort of connected with me the most. I mean, he really sounded angry and pissed off, and to be honest, he probably still is to this day. But there's some excellent songs on this album. It's an underrated album. Kicks off with the excellent instrumental Into the Lungs of Hell. Some of the guitar work on it is fantastic. The solos are brilliant. Just absolutely phenomenal stuff. Excellent riffing. Set the World Afire next was a great track. I love that one as well. You've got their cover of the Pistols' Anarchy in the UK on here, which I can do without, but I still enjoy listening to it. It doesn't sort of fuss me at all. Side A ends with Mary Jane, which is a song I'm not too bothered by, but for me, side 2 is where it's at on this record. Kicks off with 502, which is superb. Then the best song on the album, In My Darkest Hour, which was about Cliff Burton's passing. Then you've got Liar, which is the first time I think I really heard cuss words on an album, which was it stood out in my mind. And or it might have been Guns N' Roses actually, with It's So Easy from Appetite for Destruction. Excellent song, Liar, really, really good, really, really pissed off and nasty sounding. I think he's talking about Chris Poland in that song. And then it ends with Hook in Mouth, which is a great finishing track. Like I say, I've listened more to Unjustice for All over the years. But at the time, this is what I gravitated towards most. And it's a really, really underrated album, I think. So Far So Good To What from 1980 is an excellent album. A really pissed off, angry sounding thrash metal. And it definitely made its mark on me when I was about sort of 11, 12 years old. So up next, we're going to talk about one of the albums that got me into death metal. I'll give the honourable mention here to Entombed's Wolverine Blues. That was definitely one of the first ones I heard. But the one that made the most impact on me back in 1993 was definitely this one. And it's Carcass and Heartwork, the melodic death metal masterpiece from these legends. Absolutely fantastic. I'll never forget seeing the video for the title track Heartwork. Just blew me away. And I'd never heard vocals sound so pissed off and angry like Jeff Walker's did. Just a fantastic album of excellent riffage. The drums from Ken Owen are great. The lead guitar work all across this is great. And of course, Jeff Walker's vocals are fantastic. I remember seeing the video as well for No Love Lost and just absolutely loved it. Got the album on cassette, dubbed cassette. My mate Glenn had it. So I listened to it loads. And it's just an absolutely fantastic album. And a lot of fans don't like this kind of Carcass stuff. They're more into the earlier grindcore stuff. But for me, this was my starting point. And the album that really, really sort of introduced me to death metal. Buried Dreams and Carnal Forge, first two tracks are great. Then you got the singles No Love Lost and Heartwork, fantastic. Other great stuff that's like This Mortal Coil, Blind Bleeding the Blind, Doctrinal Expletives, Death Certificate. There are no bad songs on this album. It's an absolute banger, and it's without a doubt the first real death metal album I really got into. Like I said, I was listening to Entombed's Wolverine Blues, but that's more death and roll, but this is a bit more of the traditional death metal. Obviously a lot more melodic though than their early releases. But Carcass's Heartwork from 1993 for me is an absolute game changer. It was a game changer at the time. I'd never heard anything so aggressive before. And I absolutely loved it. And it definitely got me started on the death metal journey. Excellent stuff. Now up next is a genre that doesn't get talked about with a lot of kind of love these days, but I'm going to be honest, I was listening to a lot of this music back in the late 90s. This was the next big genre to come along for me. And like I say, it's not loved a lot, but I liked a lot of stuff that was going back then. And even though I don't listen to it as much these days, I do still listen to some of it every now and then. It's a band I discovered in 1996, but this actually came out in 1994. So once again, my friend Glenn, when we was out and about somewhere, and he bought a copy of Metal Hammer magazine. We used to get CDs through with the magazine, and there was a song from their follow-up album, Life Is Peachy, which is actually a horrible piece of shit. But this, their debut, which came out in 1994, blew my mind when I first heard it. This is the first band I ever heard exclusively using 7-string guitars and then really tuning them down. Fieldy was playing a 5-string bass, which is obviously also tuned down. David Severa's drumming style was very, very different from what I'd heard in other metal bands before. He was definitely putting a lot of hip-hop influences in there, which gave him a distinct style. And of course, Jonathan Davis's vocals are very, very different from anything I'd heard before. I'd never really heard anything like it. Whether you like it or not, these guys were doing something completely different at the time, and I'd never heard anything like it. And it's an absolutely fantastic album today. I'm going to be honest, their discography is incredibly patchy. For me, to be honest, it's only this and Issues that I need, and that's all I've got. I've got a best of as well, which covers the good songs from the other albums. But I only need Issues, and I only need this, and this is absolutely phenomenal. I'd never heard anything like it. It was a complete game changer. And it's just still a fantastic album to this day. The opening track, Blind, is brilliant. Bull Tongue's great. Clown is fantastic. Divine, Shoots and Ladders, got bagpipes and that. Never heard that in a metal album before, or since, I don't think, apart from the latest Hell Ripper album. Predictable, Fake, Helmet in the Bush. The last song, Daddy, is not easy to listen to, but it's a great track, no doubt about it. But yeah, it was a game changer. It was something completely new at the time, and I have absolutely got no problem telling you how much I love Korn and some of the old new metal stuff from back in the late 90s. because it wasn't all bad at all. You know, you have bad in all sorts of subgenres, especially when they blow up and the bands are appearing left, right, and centre. But Korn's debut from 1994 is an absolutely fantastic album and a complete game changer. I've never heard anything like it at the time. So the last one we're going to talk about was my introduction to black metal, which came in 1999. I'm going to give an honourable mention here to Immortals at the Heart of Winter, because I heard that around about the same time I first heard this. But the time, this is when I gravitated towards the most. I've probably listened to the Immortal one more since, but this was an absolute game changer for me. It was definitely my introduction to black metal along with Immortal. But I definitely listened to this one more. And it's Emperor and Nine Equilibrium, which came out in 1999. So these guys put out their first album about 5 years before, which I've since heard and love now. But at the time, this was my introduction to black metal, and it just absolutely blew me away. It's a fantastic album. You've got the heaviness there that's very similar, of course, to death metal, but the big difference, of course, being the keyboards throughout this, which create the atmosphere and the moods and the songs. Just blew me away. Never heard anything like it. When the vocals come in from that sort of low growl to that high scream, and then everything comes in all together, it just absolutely floored me. Never heard anything like it. Just fantastic guitar work from Isan and Samoth throughout the entire album. The riffs are fantastic. There's lots of those kind of open strings, which obviously you've heard before, but not through that heavy distortion. And I'd not really heard it before, to be honest. The drums from Trim, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, are fantastic. They're absolutely punishing the whole way through. The keyboards that go throughout the heavy tracks just sound absolutely fantastic. They're all heavy tracks, obviously. And they just add the nice atmosphere to it, which was completely new to me at the time. Absolutely blew me away. And yeah, I can still say now, I can remember hearing Curse You All Men, the first track, for the first time. I just never heard anything like it. Just phenomenal stuff. But yeah, the first track, Curse You All Men, just excellent. You got Recrystallizing Reason, which is track 2, which is fantastic. The Source of Icon E is another great track. The Warriors of Modern Death, that's got that sort of that bell sound to it, which was used in Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls. It's on one of Niall's albums as well. It's just absolutely fantastic. Blew me away. Never heard anything like it. It definitely stuck out in my mind. Like I say, got to give a mention to Immortals at the Heart of Winter, which was also fantastic, but this is the one I listened to more at the time. And the Emperor's Nine Equilibrium was my introduction to black metal, and just never forgot it. Fantastic album, an absolute game changer for me, and absolutely superb. So that's the 5 albums I wanted to talk about, and so I'm going to give 5 channel shout-outs now, and I've written them down because I know I'll bloody forget them if I don't. The first one is for Mark at Wandering Souls. He's over in the Netherlands. Great channels, very supportive of everyone's channels. Puts out loads of great content, fantastic collection, does reaction videos as well. He's a great guy. So that's a shout-out for Mark at Wandering Souls. Up next is a shout-out for Roger Kjorvik, or Roger Kjorvik, who's over in Norway. A fantastic collection, a great guy, very supportive of this community, very much into his heavy stuff, huge collection, just a really great guy. Definitely want to give him a shout out. Up next, going to go over to the US and Florida in particular for Metal Miners. Both Anthony and Cody, great guys, very supportive. Anthony is the underground death metal scene. Cody's very much into his black metal. But both of them listen to great stuff and have a fantastic collection. Great channel, very nice guys, very supportive of my channel over the years, so they're definitely getting a shout out from me. So that's a shout out for the Metal Miners guys. Up next, going to go over to Netherlands and for Kim at This Is Music. A fantastic channel, a great collection, and a very, very nice guy as well. Incredibly well spoken. An amazing head of hair, which I'm very jealous of, I won't lie. But just a really, really nice guy and a great channel, and he definitely deserves a shout out. And for the last shout out, I'm going to go over to Canada and for Metal Never Dies with Mark Arruda. Mark's only got 90 subscribers and he puts out great content. And as far as I'm concerned, he needs a lot more. So if you're not familiar with his channel, please head over there after this and let's push him over the 100 mark because he definitely deserves it. But as always, head on to all these channels if you're not familiar with them and give them a sub. And start watching their videos because they're putting out great content and they deserve it. So that is my contest entry for John at Rock and Metal Plus for his 500 subscribers contest. As always, I will leave a link to John's channel if for some reason you don't know who he is. And let's help push him up over the 600 subscribers mark. Fantastic guy, great collection, very supportive of the community like they all are. and he definitely deserves to be pushed up to the 600 mark. So that's my contest entry. That's this week's video. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching, as always. Get in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the records that I picked. Like I say, head on over to these channels and give them a subscription. And until next time, cheers, take care, and I'll see you soon.